Time for us to get back.
Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Jay Harness, Medical Director at BreastCancerAnswers.com. Welcome to another live Google Hangout here at BCA. Today is going to be really unique. We've got two individuals who have a fascinating story. We're going to be talking about beauty after breast cancer. We're going to be talking about the story of 33 survivors that have been photographed and put into a very, very unique book. And from Ashland, Oregon, I'd like to welcome Caitlyn Carey. Caitlyn, welcome.
Thank you.
And Joseph Lanashki, a photographer. Joseph, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so Caitlyn, you and I had a chance to chat before we went live, and I'm fascinated by your story, and I know our audience will be too, so why don't you share how you got into all this?
All right. I had a significant family history of breast cancer. I was 21 years old when my mom, who was the third member of my family to die of breast cancer, after doing chemo and radiation, she passed. After, again, 3 other women in that family, that whole branch had been taken out by breast cancer, and I was terrified. And I opted at that point, 10 years ago, to do a preventative mastectomy. And as I went through the experience, I just was incredibly confused and incredibly overwhelmed, which I know is not unique for women facing a breast cancer diagnosis. I couldn't find very good images that weren't intimidating, very clinical, little faceless pictures of post-op torsos in the doctor's office that showed me maybe sort of what surgery would look like. And there wasn't anyone who told me what I would feel like after going through the surgery. So though I did opt to do the preventative mastectomy and have never once regretted it, it became very obvious to me that there's some resources that we're missing to give to people who are in these situations and trying to make surgical decisions and trying to make them quickly and trying to know, hey, if I make this decision, am I going to give up who I am?
There you go. Well, that's a terrific summary of your situation. I want to point out to our audience a couple things. One is, before we went on air, you did share with me you were gene tested, which was appropriate. As we talked about, Angelina Jolie has changed the landscape here by her gene testing, but you found out that in fact you were not BRCA1 or 2 gene positive, correct?
That's true. I just graduated nursing school. I was working in a hospital, so I had the wonderful benefit of having a genetic counselor right down the hallway from me. And I scheduled a visit, and I went to talk to her, and we went through the statistics. We went through my information. We went through all my options for testing. I did them, but in my case, I believe last I checked statistically, BRCA1, BRCA2 is 40% of the known genetic predispositions for breast cancer, and we weren't sure whether that was where my family's genetic mutation lay, simply because there was no one left to test it against.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, we've now broadened the panel what we're looking at, and there are more genes, but the bottom line to our audience is, with this kind of family history, gene testing, working with a genetic counselor is really important. The other thing that I emphasize, and Angelina Jolie had this correct, if you'll remember, she said, by having preventative mastectomies, I've lowered my risk of dying of breast cancer by 95%. Notice she didn't say 100%. That's because none of us breast surgeons can say that at the microscopic level, even with removing the nipple-areolar areas, that we can remove 1,000% of all microscopic breast tissue. So what you've done, Caitlyn, is indeed, just like Angelina Jolie, you've lowered your risk of dying of breast cancer by at least 95%. So we congratulate you for that. So tell us more about the survivors you've gotten involved with here and the production of the book, and then we're going to start actually showing highlights of the book and talk about your website.
All right. We have, here, I'll show you a little picture that was kind of the start of this that I don't have up on the website, but you can probably, do we have that one up there? Okay. We'll let Joseph, who's more tech savvy than I by far, oh yes, pull that little picture over. And this is simply this was me in my immediate post-op phase of things. And this is a phase that is hard to feel attractive in. It's hard to feel like yourself. You're going through a surgery that is very disfiguring to your body, and in a society where we define a lot of femininity through breasts. The purpose of Beauty After Breast Cancer is to share photos that are after surgeries, whether it's full mastectomy, lumpectomy, partial mastectomy, with every single surgery option that is available. So that means showing full reconstruction, silicone implant, saline implant, flap reconstruction, no reconstruction, nipple tattoos, or some people are choosing to do scenery type pictures and other tattooing instead of doing the nipple reconstruction. And the idea is that in every portrait that we are sharing, we are showing women in life beyond cancer. Because when you're going through this, it's so hard to remember that there is a beyond cancer. And we're putting the personalities back into the people who are showing these surgeries so that they aren't as scary. And the only thing you're seeing isn't scars. You're also seeing smiles and seeing beauty and seeing strength.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Joseph, what was it like for you as a professional photographer to get involved with this project?
Well, it was quite personal, actually. When Caitlyn and I were first introduced, it was for something completely different. I was buying a couch from her, and and she said, "Oh, well, let me tell you about this project that I've got going on here." And she introduced me to
try out this couch.
Well, while you're sitting here on this couch, let me tell you something. Must have been a good couch. And she told me about the project and asked if I would be interested in shooting one of the subjects. Initially, she was looking for a different photographer for every subject, and she was just asking me if I wanted to be a part of it. And the more we talked about the project, the more I wanted to be involved, and it turned out the timing was such that I had a very good friend of mine who was in the process of going through breast cancer chemo and surgery and everything else, and so it was the perfect timing of being very personal to me at that time. It really was affecting me quite a bit. So I decided to be involved, and we talked about it and decided that I would not come on as a photographer for one project, for one subject, but for everybody. And so so I'm the sole photographer on the book, and that's how I got involved. And it's been an incredible experience. We haven't completed the book by any stretch. We're still shooting. We still have a lot to shooting to do, but we have a couple done, and the experience has been really eye-opening and affirming. You know, you meet people who have gone through so much and yet are still so full of life. It's really quite incredible to see.
Now, are your subjects, Caitlyn, there in the Ashland area, or where are they?
We're probably going to be traveling at this point in time through 3 different locations. We've got our first 11 to 15 people that we're doing in this area, and through most of the interviews, and we're starting more of the portrait sessions at this point. And then we will be traveling down to the LA Hollywood area, and we will also be most likely traveling up to the Seattle Portland area and doing a different group of people in both of those regions as well.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Joseph, you're the technical guru here. Why don't you share my screen, and let's get into the book and what you guys have got. And Caitlyn and Joseph, please give us some narratives to go with this.
Oh, absolutely.
Here. All right, let's start. Go ahead.
All right. So that's up and showing something?
Yep.
All right. So the picture that you are seeing right now is myself and my youngest son. With each of the stories that we're collecting, we are doing a headline for that person of what was the one main thing that kind of kept your strength, kept your sense of self throughout the process of battling breast cancer. In my case, the choices I made were very strongly related to, so I will be there when you grow up. It was very poignant memory for me, remembering when my mom went through the process of her dying, her incredible sorrow with me and my sister of never being able to be there for our weddings, never being able to meet her grandchildren. And both my sister and I were very young, and I just never wanted to put my family through that. I'd gone through the other end of it. I never wanted my children to go through it if I had any power to prevent that. And in my mom's case, she'd lost her twin sister when her twin sister was 32, 34 years old, and it was an identical twin. And they had such an aggressive form of cancer that my mom found one pea-sized lump, had an immediate bilateral mastectomy, but when she died, she had 33 brain tumors, which
Wow.
is the number of women in this book.
Yeah, and so she had an identical twin sister with breast cancer as well. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other photos you'd like to share with us?
I'm going to share one other photo session that we did. Some of the people that we're shooting are less comfortable sharing in all formats. Some of them are more comfortable. This lady is named Tony, and she is an absolute delight. And she's hanging out with a wood axe chopping wood over at my property for many of her pictures. She had two little taglines under her story. Her biggest one was, "So I have something worth flashing again." As you see, she said, "You know, this is something I just enjoy doing. I enjoy flashing my husband. and now I don't have anything worth flashing." And she decided to change that. And her story was just so immensely touching. She'd done the reconstruction, and for someone who is as independent and just fiercely off-grid, hardcore woman, she really struggled with losing her independence for a while, and this is hard for a lot of women, is learning to be taken care of instead of being the caretaker. That comes out in a lot of the stories I'm hearing, is learning to accept that is difficult for people.
Now, Caitlyn, in addition to the photographs, are you having a narrative of the story of each individual person as well?
Yeah, there's a one-page story that accompanies each full-page portrait or couple of portraits that are in the book. And the stories are very specifically meant to share different coping techniques, and the stories range from people telling me, "I knew this wasn't going to be the end of me. I knew I would win. It never occurred to me that I would do anything but come out on top of this," to the opposite spectrum of one gal telling me, "Everyone I knew who'd had cancer had died of it. I just laid down and waited to die." But without fail, every single one of these women come out of their stories feeling more beautiful, stronger, more fulfilled at large. Their experiences brought them these mixed blessings, and every single one of them is just so inspiring on different levels and share a lot of different coping strategies. And that's part of what's missing right now.
Now, if somebody watching this said, "Oh my gosh, I want to get a hold of the book right now," is it actually in book format, or do they go to your website? How does it work, guys?
We do have a pre-order option on the website, but the book itself will not be available to be shipped out until beginning of October.
Okay.
Is when we're looking to have that come out.
And have you posted any of the stories or any of the photos?
There's an example.
To beautyafterbreastcancer.com?
Yeah, there is an example series of photos and a story that is my sharing. Tony's photos are up there, but not her story yet. But I am going to start doing a couple of little synopsises of some of the stories that have been shared with me. Really, again, there's just so many different coping strategies that women are sharing, and so much strength that's coming through in those stories. But I'll be honest, I have my hands full doing the full edits, and so whereas as we get the book going, there will be a little bit more comprehensive summary on the website of those stories, case by case. Right now, we're not as concentrated on that one as we are in polishing them for the book.
Okay, well, listen. This has absolutely been fantastic. Now, you have to commit to me and promise me one thing, and that is once this thing's really ready to go, you let us know, and what we'll do is probably schedule a follow-up live Google Hangout with you so we can let the world know in October. And October would be a great month because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, okay?
Almost like we did it on purpose.
Yeah. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. Joe, thoughts that you have on this wonderful work that you're involved with?
I'm sorry, you cut out for a second there.
I said, any final thoughts that you have on this wonderful work that you're doing?
Thanks. You know, as Caitlyn said, the whole point of this is to help women who are about to go through this have a better experience, have a positive experience. And for me, it's just knowing that I'm able to help people who are going to be faced with this. Even if I can only help one person, then it's worth all my while. And of course, the goal of this is to get the book not just into the hands of one or two people, but into thousands of people. And that's, you know, that's my thought on this. It's just the incredible work that we're able to do, how we're able to help people, and knowing that we can help people that way. And that's what drives us on this, really does.
Well, congratulations, my friend. I think this is absolutely fantastic. Caitlyn, any final thoughts you have you'd like?
The one thing I keep hearing from the women that we talk to, both the participants in the book and the women who just hear about this, is that for any woman who's ever experienced a diagnosis of breast cancer, this is the book we wish we had had when we were going through this experience. Something that tells us what our options are without scaring us, and something that says, yeah, here's how you're going to feel now. Yeah, here's a bunch of other people that felt the same way. All of these people came through this. All of them came through it beautiful and strong, and you will too.
Oh, good for you guys. Well, they're Caitlyn and Joseph. They're located in Ashland, Oregon, one of the really here on the west coast of the U.S. The website is beautyafterbreastcancer.com. We look forward to seeing their book in the future. Thank you very much for joining us here at another live Google Hangout. Stay tuned. We have more beautiful live Google Hangouts coming in the future. Have a great day.